My guest today is Giselle McClymont, who knew from second grade that she wanted to be a teacher. Giselle went on to earn an education degree and taught in Florida's Broward County public elementary schools for 6 years before leaving the system in 2022 to be a stay-at-home mom with plans to homeschool her daughter. But a year later, she learned about microschooling and was hooked. Giselle
Yep.
soon launched Tree Stars Learning, a microschool in West Sunrise, Florida, and is now in the process of opening a second microschool location in Coral Springs. So, Giselle McClymont, welcome to the Liberated podcast.
Thank you for having me. I am so excited to be here.
I am so excited to have you here. So let's start way back, Giselle, in second
Uh,
grade when you knew that you would be a teacher. What was happening there?
I had the best teacher. She made all the difference. Her name was Miss Schneider. I actually recently reconnected with her. That's another story. But she just made learning fun. I remember things like we wore the same shoe size and she didn't make me feel like bad about it. She like embraced it. And then she just made every lesson just so much fun. It was always like hands-on. She loved music. We would just have fun in school. And I remember thinking, wow, like I would love to like have this kind of job where like I can have fun too.
Mm.
And that's when it like started and when it ignited. Yeah, my love for like I think this might be like what I want to do. And it just blossomed from there. It just never
Yeah.
changed.
And you
Yeah.
stuck with it and continued on the path to college and to become a teacher, and then started working in the public school system. And did you find that fun and that joy that you expected?
I mean, I feel like I tried, but the time frame from when I was in not middle, when I was in elementary school to now teaching elementary school, how many
Mm.
years later, a lot has changed. A lot changed. I remember like we even had like stoves in our classroom where we can cook. That was like that's non-existent now. So it's just not the same. Even from when I left from back in 2022 to now, if I ask my old colleagues like what is it like? It's vastly different even those what almost 3 years. So
Can you
imagine.
talk a little bit more, yeah, about what are some of the changes, not only from your experience as a student to a
Um,
teacher, but even more recently?
yeah, I've just heard that it's even more like drill and kill with the testing. They're starting it from kindergarten now with the laptops and wanting them to test on laptops in kindergarten when they don't probably even know their letter names and sounds. Like, are we serious right now? Just that they have less room for creativity and they have to stick by the book. And if they don't stick by the book, they actually get reamed for it. Like things that we used to be praised for our authenticity and making it creative. Now it's like, no, just do what's told to you, and that's it. So
Mm.
it takes the joy out of teaching. Like, you know what I mean? It's
Yeah, and that was part of your decision to leave after 6 years in the public schools. I wonder if you could talk a little bit about your experience as a teacher, kind of the good and the not so good as a teaching experience.
I mean, as a teacher, I love the aha moments. I love the relations that I've built with the students. They still reach out to me to this day. Usually
Mm.
the ones that were more difficult reach out to me because it's just funny enough. I'm strict. I was strict but loving. And they knew that I cared. So I loved fostering those relationships, seeing those aha moments, seeing them make gains, even the relationships with the parents. Like I'm still connected with those parents. It's really sweet. Um, what I didn't love was the politics. Really, the
Yeah.
politics, and that there's people in power that are governing these schools that have never taught in a classroom. They have no idea what it is to be a teacher. They have no idea what these children need, and they're mandating certain things and making rules. Like it doesn't make sense to me. So yeah, that was kind of my experience while I was there. I did what I was told, right? Like, you know, you do what you have to do. Um, I tried to make it as fun as possible. I love the fact that the ones that came to me on level, I was able to push them forward, but the ones that needed extra help, it was just kind of hard because when you have a class full of, I don't know, 20 plus students, there's only but so much you can do in a day. And it's really hard to reach that many students and all of their very customized needs every day, as much it's literally impossible. I feel like then you end up feeling like a failure as a teacher because it's like you want to do all these things. You have all of these good intentions, but at the end of the day, between how many students you have in your classroom and the politics side, the political side of things, it's hard. It's like you're trying to please both sides and you can't. You can't.
Yeah. So then you had your daughter in 2022,
I
if I
did.
recall. Yeah. And then you just decided not to go back into the classroom. You thought you would be a stay-at-home
Yeah, we
parent.
waited a
And
while. Yeah, we waited a while to have her, and I wanted to enjoy her.
yeah.
I got into the field. Obviously, I love children, and so I wanted to enjoy mine. And I was going to homeschool her, and that was like my plan. I was like, I can teach. I'll homeschool her. I don't love what's going on, so I'll make it
Yeah.
fun. And so just to backtrack a little bit,
Yeah.
TreeStar started off as a private tutoring company. So while I was teaching, I also was tutoring, and so I kept the Tree Stars a few students after I had her, very few. Like I didn't want to work, overwork. And then I was like, wait a minute, what's a micro school? That's like a little learning pod. That sounds amazing. Like I can do that, right? I can do that and still be a mom to my child. And it started off with like 3 kids, like that were first start off tutoring because they were
Mhm.
just tutoring them just to help give them a little extra help. And it literally blossomed into something I didn't even know existed.
Yeah, can we talk a little bit about that then, Giselle? Because I think a lot of people listening, they may be running their own tutoring program like you. They might be a
Yeah.
teacher. They might be thinking about starting a tutoring program as a gateway into becoming a microschool founder. So, how does that transition work from tutoring a few people on the side, maybe while you're still working a full-time job,
Yes.
to turning that into a school of some sort?
Oh my gosh.
How did it
Um,
work for
I
you? Yeah.
feel like it happened so organically. Okay. So it first started off as I'm tutoring these, it was like 3 students, right? They wanted more of my time. And I was like, well, it'll be more cost effective if you guys just came at the same time and I had you guys all at the same time from 9 to 12, 3 days a week. Literally, that's
Mm.
how. And they said, okay. Now I was like, all right. So I was essentially doing what I'm doing now, just on a very small scale. I was tutoring them. They were around the same age, right? So like they had similar goals for the most part. And it worked out for both me and them, like the parents and myself, because they didn't have to pay as much. And I felt like I was getting a lot of, use of my time because I was able to like service these students, right? At the same time. And it went from that to the parent saying, hey, they were going to put their child in a prestigious school. They're like, hey, she's really made a lot of progress with you. I don't want her to go to said school. Like, do you think you'll do this next year? Have you heard of Step Up? Because at that time, like, I didn't take Step Up, anything. And I was like, okay, like let me look into that. I'll look into it and I'll get back to you. Then when I started like doing my research, I was like, oh, they have like home education programs. That's what like they call it on Step Up. And I'm doing research and I found out about micro schools. And I was like, oh, that's when I started going like I call it like down a rabbit hole. And I was like, okay, like what is this? I joined every Facebook group that had like a micro school name attached just to like find out information. And I joined like step up groups on Facebook because I didn't know anything. It was so organic. I was just trying to service a need, like they fill a need, excuse me, like they asked, and I was like, okay, like sure. Anyway, and
And then, not to interrupt Giselle, but then you must have also realized that you are in sort of the hub of education entrepreneurship in South Florida.
can I tell you, oh my gosh, so eventually on my quest to like become a micro school, I found Iman and I was like, there's more of me out there. Oh, I was like, I'm not the only crazy one because everyone thinks I'm crazy. I was like, I'm not the only one that's willing to be like a rebel and lead and like start my own thing. I found my people. It was so liberating. I was like, this is amazing. They're actually helping kids. They have like, she was like a few steps ahead of me, and then there's like other schools around me. I was like, I didn't even know all this existed in my backyard, literally in my backyard,
Yeah.
and like literally 5 minutes away from me. on either side. And here I am trying to like do it myself. And there's a whole like platform for help. And so that's how
Wow.
that
Yeah.
happened.
So great. Just a couple of clarifying points here. You mentioned Iman. That's Iman Aline, who's the founder of Kind Academy in South Florida
Yeah.
and also runs the microschool accelerator program, Launch Your Kind, which
Yes.
helps entrepreneurial parents and teachers to start their own microschools and provide that support you so that you don't have to recreate the wheel here and can get
Correct.
going quickly. And then you also mentioned Step Up. I wonder if you can talk a little bit more about that, Giselle. That's Florida's school choice
For sure.
programs that allow
Mhm.
funding to follow families to a variety of different educational settings, including homeschooling programs and tutoring centers like
Yeah.
yours.
Yes, yes, yes. I feel like Step Up, there's like an umbrella and there's a few. So one is that we accept. So unique abilities, and then there's one called the PEP. So unique abilities is for any child that has any type of IEP. I mean, there's a list, at least the list is lengthy of what they accept, but typically neurodivergent and a multitude of other um special needs that they can accept. And they typically get a minimum of $10,000 for the year. It can be more depending on the severity of the special need. And they can use those funds to go towards tuition costs, supplies, materials, many things. But oftentimes, like my program, they use it to go towards their tuition. Much like the PEP with the PEP, that is for students. It's from what I understand, it's instead of using your tax dollars to go and send your child to like a public school, you can use those same tax dollars and send them to private school or a micro school or like a homeschool learning pod, right? And so it doesn't check your income or anything like that. Your child just has to be 5 years old in order for you to apply. And then you can use those funds to go towards all things educational. So it's really been a game changer, I feel like, in South Florida, because I would say 98% of my families do use the Step Up for students to pay for their micro school, their child's
Ah,
micro school. Mhm.
amazing.
Mhm.
Wow. Okay, we'll get into that a little bit more detail. But so from the fall of 2023, again, a year after you left the public school system,
Yeah.
you discovered microschooling. You're working with these three students. Then you discovered Iman and
Yeah.
started participating in her Launch Your Kind accelerator. I guess what was that um, process like from the parents saying, "Can you do this next year? Can we continue?" to then you really sort of positioning yourself as a micro school.
Yeah. So when they asked again, like I said, I really went down like I wanted to know, I wanted to do it properly. I
Mm.
was looking for education that could help me, do a micro school properly. And that's when I did find Iman. And then I applied for the cohort and I was accepted. I went to the or not a retreat. I guess it was kind of like a retreat, like a conference, micro school conference. And I learned so much. But then she also had like it's like 10 weeks worth of different topics that she discussed, all which help someone go from nothing to launching. So the legal aspects, the financial aspects, um, how to write a contract, how to get approved on Step Up because it's a process to become approved on Step Up as a provider. Um, you know, so all of those things she helped. There's things I didn't even know that I needed from like a legal background that she helped. Like, oh no, you may have to make sure you have this, this, and this. And then even looking at different options for like giving different options to parents. So it doesn't have to be every day, right? So for we
Mm.
are making ourselves available to the homeschool community, they might not want to send their child every day. Maybe they can come twice or three times a week. I was like, okay, sure. Just knowing that, what those options were and knowing like what need to fill in the community as opposed to just the parents that I was servicing, right?
Hmm.
Um, because I was looking to obviously fill a need with those parents, but open it to the community as well. And so some parents do only send their children twice a week because they want to take care of the learning at home. Some parents don't have that option, but they want a smaller setting. So they do want 5 days a week. So just being able to give them the flexibility of that. I learned about all of that and the cohort. And then just being able to be around like-minded people that have like a same mission and purpose. Maybe one is more STEM, or maybe, maybe how they do things or how they run things is differently because they have their own knacks, and that's fine. But at the core, what we want to see for the future and for the children, I feel like is like the same, right?
Yeah. Oh,
We don't
I
have
love
to
it.
like put them into this box where they don't fit. And so they're able to fit in whatever box that they came to fit in, right? And so or remove the box, excuse me. So that was really cool. And I think it's essential as like a micro school owner just to be around other micro school owners, just to mastermind, get ideas from one another. Um, so much. I mean, literally, I can ask a question. We have like a chat on Facebook. I can ask a question on there and it'll be answered. Like if I
Yeah.
don't know something, it could be about curriculum, it could be about literally anything. And so it's a breath of fresh air when you don't really, when you're going from just being a teacher and now you're trying to be a teacher and an entrepreneur. I didn't go to like business school, you know what I mean? I went to be a teacher. So it's been a world of a difference for me. Like it's made all the difference.
Yeah, just learning how to merge those two worlds, right? Being an entrepreneur and a teacher, some overlap, but some different skill sets there, and learning how to run a successful, sustainable small business, all of that. Of course, you were running your tutoring company, so you had a little bit of a head start,
But
but I wonder, so when you went through Launch Your Kind Accelerator and started learning some of these business skills, did you then position Tree Stars Learning as a micro school going into this previous academic year, fall of 2024? And if so, how did you begin to sort of recruit more families?
yeah, oh my gosh. Um, so I learned a lot from the cohort, but then I did other things like I teach a mommy and me class. It's in Parkland, Florida, at a place called Connection. And I was able to connect with a lot of moms that way. I'm
Mm,
also well connected in the therapy world because I actually, before I taught in the public school system, I did work at a therapy center. And so um, I connected with a lot of those therapists because oftentimes they can take the same scholarship as well. And I said, hey, this is what I'm doing. If any of your clients would be a good fit based on what I just told you, send them over to me. So that was like huge. Then I also did like pop-up events where like if the city of Sunrise was doing like a family event, I would go in as a vendor and I would have flyers and I would pass out my information. It was a combination of a lot of different things. It wasn't just one thing, I feel. And a lot of the feedback came from all of it, really. Yeah, I was able to enroll students, some from the pop-up events, a lot from the therapist referring me, and then from the mommy and Mia did like a little learners preschool prep class. A lot of them came from that too. So even if it wasn't like their younger child, maybe they had like an older child. I mean, they would sit after the class and ask me a mountain of like so many questions, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, we love that. That's amazing!" And so they didn't even know it was
wow.
an option. Many parents don't know, especially when they have youngers. They don't know that's an option. So
And
yeah,
so how many students did you launch with then in this previous cycle? So fall of
3 to
2023 or
14.
2024, sorry.
Yeah, 14.
14. Okay. And were most of them homeschoolers previously? Were they coming from
No,
conventional schools? Okay.
no. I mean, it
So
was literally a mix. Some were
so
homes, some were conventional.
yeah. So the families coming from conventional schools, what were they looking for? What was attracting them to your program?
It was more customized.
Mm,
It was a smaller environment where they feel like their child could actually learn. And like, let's fast forward to now. Now it's what, January. They are beyond thrilled that they have their child in this environment because their child is thriving. So much so, I had one child where the mom, she was also an educator. She didn't know, like, she was trying to figure out the schedule. And something happened with like her husband's job. And so she didn't know if she'd be able to continue to send him to the school. And the child cried, Mom, please don't take me out. I like going to school. Like I like going to school now because he didn't like going to school before. So the mom called me. She says, listen, he loves going. He hated going to the other school. I'm going to figure it out. And she did.
This is what we hear over and over and over, Giselle, right? That no matter what kind of micro school, it seems that more often than not, a key indicator of success is this sort of joyful learning environment. The fact that students want to go to school, they want to be there. That is a metric of success.
Huge. That's my only like I'm like, you're gonna make progress. Like I know that. Are you happy to come? The fact that every child is happy to come, and that's the constant feedback that I get from parents. I'm like, I'm doing my job. We're doing what we came to do. They want to come to school. Wow. What a difference.
And you're also seeing academic metrics of success, right? I mean, you
Mm.
certainly have these non-academic metrics that are so crucial.
Right.
You're a place that students want to be. And then from that sort of joy and experience of wanting to be at a place for learning, they do learn. And so what are you seeing there on the academic side?
So I'm seeing a lot. So like I have one in particular where when he came in by age, he was first grade. When we did his testing, he was reading in the middle of second. He's now we have to get third grade material for him because we didn't hold him back. We're
Mm,
challenging him just enough, right? And we're moving him along so he's not bored. He doesn't become a behavior issue like he would if he was getting first grade material. He'd 100% be a behavior issue because he'd be bored. I know that for sure, right? But because we are giving him material where he is at and just no not holding him back. We're just pushing him forward. Like, oh, you're ready for third grade? Let's go. Let's do it. Let's move you forward. But on the opposite end of that, we have another child. She's dyslexic. And guess what? We needed to pull something a little bit below her level. We've been able to bridge those gaps now and get
yes.
her where she needs to be. So that's what I love about it. Because it's such a small environment, we are able to make those customizable learning plans for each child and see their growth.
I love it.
And that's what
Yeah.
matters. Yeah.
And the program has been so successful that you decided to open a second location, which you're in the process of doing now in Coral Springs. Your first location's in West Sunrise, Florida. When did you know it was time to think about opening a second location? What was happening?
Okay. So I I was getting a lot of feedback about parents that wanted what I had to offer a little bit further north, right? And I was kind of maxed out where I was. I couldn't accept anymore. And they're like, "Can you come a little bit further north? Like we really want we don't have it was someone looking in Boca really. So I originally started looking in Boca, but Coral Springs became available and it's close enough to Boca to where they could make that drive as opposed to like West Sunrise. And I wasn't I was looking with the intention to maybe find something by like for this school year. And it became available almost immediately. I was like, whoa. And I just hopped on it because I feel like things like this don't happen all the time. I didn't know logistics. I didn't know all the things. I just knew that I had enough parents requesting this. So I was just going to answer the call no matter what it looked like, because at the end of the day, even though going through, permits and all this has been extremely stressful, I'm not going to take away from that. It has. When it's done and when it's up and running, the impact that we're going to make for another set of micro school families is going to be a lot more than what I had to go through, right? The impact that I'm going to leave. And so I'm willing to go through all of that because, oh my God, I'm going to get teary. I don't want to like cry on the podcast. Just like the feedback that I get from parents about like maybe not having somewhere else to send their child not fitting in. And I'm just like, wow, like we're really giving these parents hope for their child's future. And like they are the future. So I didn't mean to cry. I'm sorry. But
No, it is.
yeah,
It's so powerful. The work that you're doing is truly changing lives and enabling these learners to reach their full potential, to be exactly who they were meant to be, and to learn at their the level that they're at. It's just incredible work. So
Yeah.
congratulations to you. And before we started recording, we were talking a little bit about some of the challenges that you've encountered in finding a second space. And I love how you turned the word entrepreneur in a verb. You said we entrepreneur our way through it,
We
which
do.
I think is such a great term and so spot on
Yeah.
with the kind of resilience and determination that you founders display. Can you talk a little bit about some of those obstacles?
Yeah, I mean, for one, I mean, just getting like the permit approved to like start to do I'm not even doing like a lot of construction because it is a micro school. It's nothing like major, but just getting like the permit approved to like even start was really difficult. Denial after denial.
Mm.
And then eventually, literally months later, it got approved. And then going in for like the structure test. The first one didn't pass, the second one did. And then with this go around, we were actually able to ask the person who came in like tons of questions to make sure we passed the next two um, inspections. And he was very helpful, but it's been a journey. It's been a journey. Finding the architect because an architect has to write the plans. I didn't know that. What do I know? Like, getting a GC, to do the construction. We wanted to repaint it. I just have a vision of what I want it to look like. And I'm come hell or high water, it's going to look like that. So we are doing all the things to get it done. And, we're new flooring, like just finding all the things, all the material, I have never done this before. So like walking into like floor and decor, like, okay, we have to pick out floor. Okay, great. So just going through all the things. And I think one of the biggest things, like, I remember just feeling so stressed out. And I was like, you know what? I need to enjoy this journey. I'm learning so much that is so valuable. Because I don't plan to just open two. I don't plan to stop here. Wherever the need is next, that's where I'll go. And
Yeah.
now I have all this information in my back pocket. And now I know. The reason why it's hard now is because I'm walking into like an unknown territory. It's very unknown. It's kind of scary, because it's new. But I've just decided, you know what? Like, take a step back, cry if you need to, journal if you need to, that's okay. But I'm going to just put one foot in front of the other and truck my way through, learn as I go, and come the next time that I do this, it'll be a lot less complicated situation because now I know. I know who to call. I know where to go. Imagine like trying to figure like what I need an architect. I just want like a little faster. Like who knew I needed,
Right.
So yeah.
Yeah, and I want to talk about your expansion plans in a little bit because I think, it's right that you've spent all this time learning everything there is to learn about general contractors and architects and all that. You have to put it to use now. So
Yeah.
might as well continue to grow, especially because there's so much parent demand for what you're doing. I'd love to talk just a bit, though, if we could, Giselle, about sort of the business of running the school and the financial sustainability piece. I know this is something that Iman Aline in her Launch Your Kind Accelerator program spends a lot of time focused on.
Yeah.
She's like, you're teachers, your heart is in this, you're doing this because you love this work, but you also are running small businesses.
Right.
And the only way you can have like a truly powerful impact is to have those businesses be successful. So I wonder if you could talk a little bit about the financial sustainability piece of the business.
So I will say at first as I feel like as every teacher does, was like undercharging because again, you're doing it from your heart and you're more of a teacher. You're not like you are a business owner, but you're not, right? But at the
Hmm.
core, you're a teacher, you're an educator. And so I definitely wasn't charging enough for what we provide. And once I went to the Launch Your Kind and I learned about, like you need to have certain insurances and just there's so many things that we do need to pay for. I did, in fact, increase my pricing to be a profitable business, right? We put in a lot of work, a lot. It's a lot. It's not, this is no easy task. And so we should be, rewarded for our efforts and the proof is in the pudding when we see the children make all the progress. And micro school can be very profitable if you set yourself with the right price and you produce what you say you're going to produce. You are, you know, whatever your micro school theory is. For me, it's having a very customized learning plan and having them get one-on-one time every day with the teacher and truly, working towards each child's learning goals in order for them to make progress. So now those parents are now speaking on your behalf. You no longer have to, right? It's very profitable. It's very
Mm.
profitable. Are you going to have to work? Yes. But guess what? The children are making progress. There's none of this politics stuff that you have to worry about. And in my opinion, we're getting paid what we're worth as educators and what we do for what we do, it can be very lucrative when done correctly.
Yeah, so how does it feel to be a sort of a teacher entrepreneur now compared to a teacher in the conventional system? What is your reaction now to the work?
It is joyful. Um, I have no one telling me what I can and can't do with the students. I have parent feedback because I always love to get the parent feedback, student feedback. Um, it almost feels like a dream, right? Like I can't believe I'm doing this. Like I get to help these students, truly help these students. Truly, truly. Like no fluff. A lot of it is fluff and like the conventional because we can't do what we want to do. It's not even a ding on the teacher. No fault of the teacher.
Right.
No fault. Yeah, it literally sometimes I'm like when you were like doing my introduction, I'm like, I can't even believe that's me. Oftentimes I'm like, I can't believe I'm doing this. I can't believe I like just said, yeah, I'm gonna do this and just did it. Right? Like I'm just doing it because that's what's best for the students. So that's what I'm doing. I oftentimes I like you said, you get you're blessed enough to like do what you do. You can't believe you get to do what you do for work. That's exactly how I feel. Like I related to every word. I could relate. I can't believe that this is what I get to do um every day. I can't believe
Amazing.
it. Yeah, it's very
Amazing.
good.
And now you're in the process of scaling, opening the second location, but not wanting to stop there. So what is the plan?
Oh my gosh. So I have like my first, I guess, smaller like there's like a big plan, but the first small goal would be to open five locations
In South
um
Florida
in South
or
Florida.
yeah.
In South Florida, um, I want to make sure that we meet the need. So as I hear the need, like wherever the need is, that's where I plan to go. So if you ask me like where in South Florida, wherever the next need is. Once this one is up and running and fully functional, right? I need probably give it like a good year. Then I'll say, okay, where's the need? Where's the need?
And how
And
do you know that need? What is your
parents reach
strategy
out to
for
me. Parents reach
what
out
was
to me.
parents
Parents reach
reaching?
out to me.
They come to you.
They come to me. Yep. They hear about me. Maybe it's on Facebook or online or wherever. They see what I have going on. Maybe it's to a parent. I mean, as it stands right now, I have a good group of families that are like, please come further south. First, people wanted me to come further north from Sunrise, which I did. Now I have a whole group of families that want me to come further south. Literally, like, can you
Mm.
please come further south? We love what you have going on. We love your philosophy, all the things. You know, can you please come further south? So that maybe that'll be the next move. We'll see.
And then how will you manage quality as you grow, right? This is a challenge for any business as it scales. This is sort of your baby that you've
I do.
nurtured, and
Yeah.
now you're growing into multiple locations. How do you envision ensuring quality with that?
So I'm also very well connected in the teacher world. And I am picky about who I hire on purpose. Oftentimes it's really cool. I'm not the only teacher that has like the same vision, but maybe other teachers don't want to have to go through like the hassle of being an entrepreneur as well. So oftentimes they're like, hey, we want to work with you. Can we bring our kids? So the way that I'm going to keep the quality is still hiring qualified educators that maybe want to do what I've done, but don't want to handle the business side. But this is not giving them a place to still work in a micro school setting and their child benefits.
Hmm.
That's kind of like what I've seen lately. Because now, before it was like I need to find a teacher, I need to find a teacher. Now it's like they're coming to me. They're coming to me because they see what I have going on. They want the same thing for their child. They just don't want they don't want to have to handle, the business side. And I totally understand that. I understand that
Yeah.
being an entrepreneur is not for everyone, right? But they like everything else that we have going on. And they want to be a part of that. And they want their child to be a part of that too.
Mm.
So yeah.
So the parents and the teachers are coming to you. This is just amazing. You know
Yeah.
you're onto something when that's
Yeah.
happening. And
Yeah.
that's part of sort of your longer term vision. You know, you're not sure what will happen a few years down the road, but one possibility you mentioned to me is potentially franchising or coming up with some other
Yeah.
system that enables these teachers to run the program without necessarily having as much of that entrepreneurial responsibility. I wonder if you can
Correct.
talk about your longer term vision.
Yeah, my longer term vision is to just, and I'm right now in the process of just getting certain systems in place,
Yeah.
right? And just to backtrack a little bit, that's why it is kind of cool that I do know about all there is to know with the build out because
Yeah.
I can essentially really help someone with the ins and outs of that if they do choose that route. But yeah, just working on getting systems in place to make it easier for an educator that does want to do it to be able to come in and do it with this, a set tree start, essentially like a tree starts learning. This is our system that we have for like launching a successful a micro school. And if you're going to use our name, this is like the philosophies that we believe in, this is the systems that we have and all the things. So that's like my long-term vision.
Ah, amazing. Well, I can't wait to follow along and see these new Tree Star Learning locations pop up. How do you think, or do you think that the micro school movement, programs like yours, will impact American education more broadly? You know, do you think this will sort of be a niche, something on the side, or do you really see this as part of a fundamental shift in education in this country?
Oh my gosh. This is a shift. Let me tell you why. I think I said it to you before that we're like the Uber of taxis because I even saw a post this morning that like legislators, people who, or someone, I don't want to say who, someone literally said that class size doesn't matter. So now they're going to allow kindergarten to have 20 to 30 kids. It was like someone posted it in like this group on Facebook. I don't even think they're in Florida, but they're just in America. People are in power making certain decisions about our children's education, and they clearly have never been in a classroom before. And that's what's happening right now. So I think in due time, you're going to see the outcome of customized education versus whatever's going on elsewhere. And there will be a vast difference in outcome. And people will be like, okay, this is like the only route, or like the route, like, I just feel like if a if a micro school is running as it should, there's going to be a long wait list to get in. As it stands, let me just say this, there are schools starting to shut down, public schools starting to shut down in our county. And I mean, we're just getting started. Just getting started.
Yeah. Well, it's exciting to think about the growth of the microschooling movement and the more students who will be excited about coming to school and excited about learning and begging their mom or dad or caregiver, to let them stay and encouraging neighbors and friends to join. It's really great, and I believe you're right that we're just at the beginning of this
Oh
movement.
yeah.
So, Giselle, if my listeners and viewers want to follow along and watch your growth and success and connect with you and learn more about Tree Stars Learning, what is the best way for them to do that?
I would say follow me on Instagram, which is literally my handle is Tree Stars Learning. They can always check me out on my website, which is www.treestarslearning.com. Um, and the website has information about my company, but the Instagram just shows what we do
Mm,
on a day-to-day basis through the stories and the post and the different things that we have to offer, like enrichments, allowing therapies to come on site, just different things that we have going on for the children. So if they really want to get like a holistic view of what we have going on, I would say Instagram.
amazing. So
Yeah.
great. Well, so happy to connect with you and best wishes for the future. Giselle McClyment, thank you so much for being on the
Thank
Liberated
you.
podcast.
Yes, yes. Thank you for having me.